Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Select GamerVerse Advanced Suit Spider-Man. And we're going to jump right into this, starting with this big ass packaging. It's the same packaging that Marvel Select has been using for about 20 years. And that's not an exaggeration. They've been using this style of packaging for as long as I could remember. And sometimes I don't mind it, but when it's such a small figure, it really feels like a waste. Look at all of that empty space. That is so ridiculous. It's just crazy. I don't know why they continue to use this style of packaging. It's a pain to ship. I mean, it's not collector friendly, so once you open it up, it's just garbage, so it's a bunch of garbage you have to deal with. It's insane. I just don't understand it. But anyways, the packaging does look nice. You are able to see the figure. You can see the accessories. We have a white spider logo here at the bottom. It says Marvel Select. And on the side here, it says Spider-Man. And at the top left, it says GamerVerse, but you can't see it because it's out of frame because of how big the packaging is. On the side, we get another white spider logo. On the back, we get a look at the figure itself. And then we also have a brief biography, I guess, of Peter Parker and a little bit about the suit. And that's about it. And the other cool thing I like on the packaging, and Marvel Select does this often, so this is really cool, but they always give credit to the people that worked on the figure. So down here it says it was designed by Iman and O'Donoghue, I think that's how you pronounce the name, and sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios. So I always love when they give credit to the creators. But I think that's enough about the packaging. Let's go ahead and rip this thing apart and take a look at the figure. Okay, so here we have Spider-Man out of the box, and to be honest with you, lately I've been pretty disappointed with Diamond Select figures, but I'm happy to say that that's not the case here. I think this guy's actually pretty nice, and I think that they get better with every single Spider-Man figure that they release. This one has to be one of their best ones, right up there with the Far From Home Spider-Man, which I really like. So I'm pleasantly surprised with this guy right out of the box. There are some flaws, and we'll get into every single one of those in just a second here, but I just want to say off the top that, yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at all the details on him. And now that I'm in here examining the sculpt and taking a close look at it, I think that's the strongest element to this figure because they really put a lot of details in here. And they really went all out with the sculpting work. All the web lines are sculpted, the eyes are sculpted. There's no flat parts to the figure at all. Even the white spider logo is sculpted on here. And there's even some sculpting work like here in the shoulders. You can see the little piping from where that separates the blue and the red. It's actually a different color and it's sculpted. There's a bunch of sculpted details on the suit itself. The web shooter is sculpted. And there's just a lot of good details in there. Look at that. Sculpting work everywhere. It's almost like a movie figure. Got some sculpting work in there. Even the bottom of the feet are sculpted. So they did a lot of good work here. And the paint work on this guy is pretty good too. There are some parts that kind of miss. Like you could see right here on the black part of the eye, there's a little bit of red. And then in the spider logo, there's a little bit of missing paint too. Well, it's not missing, but you know, the spider is sculpted and then it should have been painted white, but there's some parts where the white just kind of missed. You can see right there on the spider leg, it looks like there's some white right above the leg, and then part of the leg itself is red. And then there's just some, you know, missed paint pieces there, but to be honest, I could really only see those when I'm zoomed in on camera or when I'm really looking close at the figure. Overall, it looks nice. And on the back of the figure here too, there's some paint imperfections right there. Nothing major, but again, the spider logo on the back is sculpted and it looks nice. Got some more sculpting work right here. Yeah, I'm just really impressed with the sculpting work on this guy because they put detail everywhere. And it comes across really good. I like this suit for Spider-Man. I know a lot of people weren't fond of it until the game came out. When the game came out, everybody was loving it, but I never even played the game and I like this suit. So there it is. But yeah, man, this is a good looking figure as far as the sculpt goes. And the head sculpt is nice too. I mean, I don't have any problems with it. The proportions on the figure are good. Nothing looks wonky or weird. They use these style of hips that people like a lot, so that's good. And yeah, just in general, it's a really nice looking figure, good sculpt work, pretty decent paint. It could have been a little bit better, but in general, I'm happy with the way the figure looks. And for accessories, he actually comes with quite a bit, but let's go ahead and start off with the hands because he does come with 4 different sets. First off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of open wall crawling hands. And then he has a set of gripping hands, and these type of gripping hands can usually be used to hold on to some kind of web so that you can make it look like he's swinging or something, but he doesn't have any of those type of web effects. But you can use this hand to hold on to his cell phone, so it's not like it's useless or anything. So I do appreciate that they put in some type of gripping hand. And then, of course, he has his thwip hands. And then aside from his hands, he does come with the cell phone. And this cell phone is really cool too. It's kind of hard to make out what's going on there. I guess it's like his city monitoring app or whatever you want to say, but it's pretty cool. You could definitely use a cell phone for cool shots of Spider-Man. And then he also comes with one of these guys, which, like I said, I haven't played the game, so I'm not really sure what these things are called, but I like them. I like the idea of Spider-Man having these things kind of around the city, watching what's going on, or just helping him out. Reminds me of like the animated series, and it also reminds me of Superior Spider-Man. So that's probably where they got the idea for this thing, actually, from the Superior Spider-Man book. If that's what this thing does, let me know in the comments. What does this thing do in the game? And I know I need to play the game, but I just don't have time, man. Come on, give me a break. But yeah, this thing, this is really cool. I like the way it looks. I like the metallic look to it. The sculpting work is really nice. The paint on here is actually really good. There's not a lot of slop or anything. This is a really cool little accessory, and it goes well with the cell phone. So I like these two things a lot. And then he does have this really cool looking web effect that you could just put like on top of other figures to make it look like Spider-Man shot some webbing onto him and maybe like stuck him to a building or something. So that's really cool. I like that a lot of new Spider-Man figures are coming with different types of web accessories. The recent Marvel Legends GamerVerse Spider-Man figures had some really cool stuff, and I like that Marvel Select jumped in on that action and gave us one of these. So this is really cool. So now for a bunch of size comparisons, because I know a lot of people are going to be curious as to whether or not they could fit this Spider-Man into their 6-inch lines. And to be honest with you, I think it's possible. You could probably fudge it. It's not like he's a super tall figure, but he's not 6-inch, that's for sure. He's taller than that, but he doesn't feel as tall as some other Marvel Select Spider-Man. So you might be able to fit this into your 6-inch lines if that's what you want to do. If not, he works just by himself as a 7-inch figure. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the new GamerVerse Spider-Man alongside the comic book Mafex Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Ultimate Spider-Man. And then next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Select Far From Home Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Far From Home Spider-Man. And then now here we have him with the Marvel Legends Silk and Marvel Legends Spider-Ham. I wanted to call him Pizza Ham. I don't know why. The Marvel Legends Spider-Ham. And then here we have him alongside the Marvel Select Classic Spider-Man and the Mezco 112 Collective Spider-Man.
And here he is with the Marvel Select Infinity War Spider-Man.
And the Marvel Legends Gamerverse Spider-Man. And then now here we have him alongside the Halo Master Chief figure from Mattel. And those figures were badass. I didn't buy too many of them, but I really should have. They're the ones that had like the snap-on armor. They're really cool. I gave this one a wash, and I'm really happy with it. But anyways, on the opposite side of that, we have the brand new NECA Turtles in Time Ninja Turtles Slash figure. And then, of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And then here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Mysterio and the Marvel Legends Prowler with the custom cape by Rebel01 Customs on Instagram. Be sure to check them out. They do a lot of soft good stuff, and it all is really nice. I have a couple of their items, but this is a cape made by them, and I like it a lot. And then next, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Venom that was recently released and the Marvel Select Venom. And then here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Juggernaut and the Marvel Select Lizard. And then for the final comparison, we have Spider-Man alongside the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Sandman and the Marvel Select Sandman. So as you can see, you could kind of fit him into wherever you want, especially because a lot of the Marvel Legends Spider-Man villains are kind of big. So this figure works with Marvel Legends and it still works with Marvel Select. So yeah, this guy's got some versatility. And as for the articulation on this guy, I would say that he's probably one of the most articulated Marvel Select figures that we've seen so far. And I know they're not known for articulation, so that's not saying too much. But still, I think they packed a lot of good stuff in here. He does have the exact same articulation setup as the Far From Home Spider-Man, and I liked it with that figure, so I like it here. But it's a little bittersweet because even though he has all the points of articulation that he should, they just don't all work as good as they should. None of them are like useless, but they just don't get the range that I would like from a Spider-Man figure. So I'm probably going to have to pop this guy apart and see what I could do to modify things here. And, I'm just kind of used to that when it comes to Marvel Select figures. And, I mean, that's the case when there's a Marvel Select figure that I like, but it's just not quite there. Most of the times I'll I'll like pop it open and see what I could do to increase it. And in the end, I'm able to get it to where I'm really happy with it. So hopefully that's the case here, and hopefully it's not too much work to make it, to get it where I want it. But anyways, I don't want to do that right now because I plan on doing a comparison video with this guy, the Marvel Legends one and the Figure Arts one, but I'm currently waiting to receive the Figure Arts one. A friend of mine let me borrow it. So once I get all three of those figures in and I do a comparison, maybe I'll do a video showing the modifications that I'll make to this Spider-Man to increase the articulation. But enough rambling, let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the head. So first off, it does move side to side. You've got a little bit of tilt to it, but not very much at all. And then looking up, it is whack. He can't look up at all. Check that out. That's about as far as he could look up. And that is basura for sure. And then he could look down to only about right there. So the up and down movement on the head is pretty bad. So, but you know, I think that could be fixed. We'll see. But out of the box, it's not very good. And then for the torso, we have a pretty nice torso setup. What we have here is a mid-torso cut and then a cut at the waist. And using both of them, you get some pretty good movement. So let's go ahead and look at the positives first. So it does get some nice side to side. And just in general, like awesome like movement. I like this torso setup a lot. It's really cool, but I just wish that it got a little bit more going forward, because crunching forward, that's about as far as you're going to get. And that's not very good at all. So hopefully we can improve on that. But I do like the diaphragm kind of joint and just being able to get him into weird angles and swinging poses and stuff. You could definitely do a lot of good stuff with this type of torso. So I do like it, but I just wish that it had a little bit more range. Oh, and one more little problem I have with this figure is the fact that his torso and his pelvis piece are pretty tight. So when you move the figure around, you get a little bit of paint rub on the bottom of the red part of the costume here. And, you know, as you can see, it got kind of messy there. But again, you know, not a huge problem. I could just touch that up, but it'll probably just continue to rub. So, I mean, it's not like something you can notice that crazy. It doesn't stand out that bad, but it's still something that happens. So I just want to be sure that you guys are aware of that. And then for the shoulders, this kind of gets weird too, because remember that little piping piece that I mentioned earlier that was actually sculpted? It kind of hinders the articulation. It makes it so his arm could only go up to about right there. And if you force it anymore, you're probably going to mess up the sculpt of that little piping piece. But I'm going to try to heat this up and see what I could do. Well, let's see. Nah, I think that's as far as it's going to get. So, I don't know. So that could be a little bit better. And he doesn't have butterfly joints at the shoulder, but I do like what they did here, because they did leave enough of a cutout here on the shoulder piece so that you could get his arms out in front of him. And I really like that, because you could use that for like swinging poses or just like having him grab onto somebody or whatever. So I'm always a fan when action figure companies are able to do that. I would prefer a butterfly jointed shoulder, but if they're not going to do it, this is like the next best thing. So I am happy about that. It doesn't really do anything going back though, but just going forward, it helps out a little bit. So that's nice. But his arms do go all the way around. He does have the upper bicep swivel. And then for whatever reason, the elbow joint on mine is stuck, but only on this part of the joint. So I can bend right there. But just so you can see the range of the elbow, it does fold a really nice amount. So there you go. So that's good. But I'm going to have to get some hot water on this side and see if I could get that unstuck. And then for the hands, you have a swivel and a hinge. And then the legs, whoa, look at that. He could pretty much do the split, so that's awesome. I almost thought he was going to have drop down hips like the Bruce Lee figure, but he does not, so that's okay. His legs do come up to about right there. Then he has upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, and no lower leg swivel, but he does have rocking ankles. His feet could come forward to right there, and they could come up to right there. So, like I said, I'm not too upset with the articulation on this guy. I just know that it's going to take some work to get it where I want it. But out of the box, it's decent. You know, he has some good articulation. It's kind of hard to get him into any good poses because of that head movement. You can't really get it to look up, and that really sucks. But aside from that, I think the articulation is pretty good. He's a pretty fun figure to handle and pose around, but it's just going to be really hard to get him into really cool poses for photography or whatever. But yeah, I think, I mean, you know, it's an improvement over previous articulation setups on figures. So that is definitely something to you know, to salute. You know, they're trying to get better with their Spider-Man figures, so I could definitely appreciate that. And this one's almost there, but I think I could get it to where I want it with some modifications. I just wish I didn't have to do that. Okay guys, so overall, I like this figure. I think they did a really good job with it, and I just love the way the figure looks. I think it's a very good representation of the GamerVerse Spider-Man, and the sculpting work is very well done on him. I was really impressed by the amount of sculpted details that were found on this figure. I really wasn't expecting to see all that, so that's all very nice. The painting work is okay. It could have been a little bit better. There's definitely some sloppiness, but there's nothing that's unforgivable, so I'm not too mad at it, but it definitely could have been a little bit crisper and nicer. And I do like all the accessories that he comes with. It's always awesome to get multiple sets of hands, but the standout things here are definitely the cell phone and the little spider robot thing, and then the web accessory. All that stuff is really cool, especially for a figure that only costs around $30. So it's nice that they throw all that stuff in there. The only big flaws with this figure is the fact that the articulation doesn't work as good as it should. It has all the points of articulation that you would want in a Marvel Select Spider-Man figure, but it just doesn't all work as good as it should. So as I said before, I'm probably going to pop this guy apart and see what I could do to improve some of that articulation, but I will wait till after I do my comparison video with the Marvel Legends one and the SH Figure Arts one. But yeah, just as is, out of the box, I think it's a really good figure. And to be honest, the articulation is good enough, I think, for most people. Like, if you're just going to handle this figure every now and then, but for the most part, just kind of leave it on your shelf with the rest of your Spider-Man figures or with the rest of your Marvel Select figures, you probably don't need to mess with it too much. But if you're somebody that wants to get, like, extreme poses for action figure photography, or you just always want to push your figures to the limits and just get them into cool poses, then you might have to make some modifications. But I think most people will be pretty satisfied with this figure right out of the box. So I think they did a good job here. And I'm really happy and relieved to say that because I'm always rooting for Diamond Select, but sometimes they kind of let me down. But in this case, they did a really good job with this figure, so I am very happy about it. And you know what? I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. And before I get out of here, let me give a huge shout out to my boy MCU Collector for hooking me up with this figure. He got his early from, I think, Entertainment Earth maybe, and he had an extra, so he sent one out to me, and that's awesome of you, man. Thank you so much. If you're not familiar with the MCU Collector, be sure to check out his page. Chances are he will have like every single Marvel Legend before anyone else out there. He's crazy with it, so be sure to check out his channel. But yeah, thanks a lot, man. And also, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I am trying to get to 50,000 in the year 2020. And I know that's going to be tough. That's pretty much doubling what I have now, but I think it's possible. So be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and all that good stuff. And thank you very much. Peace.